Hi, Peter Bulker here and welcome to today's edition of the Transition Guide. Now today I want to talk to you about the frustration gap and if kept unchecked, how it can have a devastating impact on your business. Now think back to when you first started off your business, and we all know that businesses do not just grow in a straight line. They grow, plateau, grow, plateau, grow, plateau, grow, plateau, and so on. So when you first started your business, you probably had a really great idea and you thought, yeah, I'm going to go out and do it. I don't want to work for anybody else. And off you go. And that hard work really got you started. But eventually you got to a point where you just couldn't do it yourself anymore. Do you remember those days? And you had to hire your first employee. And let's say your knowledge base was here as an entrepreneur. So you learned a bit through sort of hard work and experience, but hadn't quite fully learned how to run a business yet. No one's ever taught you how to run a business. Everything that you know, you've learned as you go along. So you hire your first employee. Now you don't hire someone else much better than you, because the chances are we don't normally do that. We tend to hire somebody that we can train, or we believe we can train, and that we feel that actually if we hire someone that has less experience than us, they're going to be easier to manage. We're going to just tell them what to do and they're going to do what we need them to do. So we hire that person. And because at the very beginning, the knowledge gap between us isn't a huge chasm, it's quite small, there isn't a problem. And off we go, where we're getting together, that person's helping us and the business starts to grow. Do you ever remember that point where you started to become curious and you started learning about business? Now, some entrepreneurs will never get there, but many go on a journey where they start to look at self-development, personal development, business development, in whatever form, whether it's a podcast, YouTube video like you're doing today, it could be a formal business course, it could be getting a business coach, whatever. There becomes that personal journey. And what happens is that as you grow as an entrepreneur, your organization grows with you because you're able to do more. So you start moving up the levels. So maybe let's say a couple of years, you've moved up and you're now substantially more what I would call sort of educated and experienced as a business owner. The challenge that most people have though, is that when you hire your first set of employees, not everyone is enthusiastic about personal growth and educational growth as you are. And what will happen, I don't know if you can sort of recall this, but many people I speak to, they get a lot of resistance from their early employees that they don't want to change. They're happy where they are and they love the good old days. But what happens is that you know that the business needs to change in order to grow. You want your business to grow because obviously if a business is not growing, it's dying. And you're trying to get people to do the changes with you, but you're hitting that resistance. And they're not resisting you because they want to be difficult. It's just that they don't understand how to help you get there because they haven't done that development. But what starts to form is this gap between the two, and that's what we call the frustration gap. And as the business becomes more sophisticated, because the team below probably are not trained enough to be able to help you, you find yourself that you're compensating for your people now. Because they can't do the job fully, you're jumping in and you're doing some of their job for them. And that becomes even more frustrating. And what happens is then you start to have to hire new people because they can't cope. But you no longer hire people at that level because you've grown. Therefore you hire more able people that are more closer to where you are. Now the employees that you first hired have got a bigger problem. Not only are they contending with your frustration, but actually your new team are getting frustrated with them because they're not at their level to do the job. And that becomes quite tough for the people at the very bottom that have originally joined you but haven't quite gone on the journey. And you've got really two choices at this stage. You either change the person or change the person. They either jump on board with the self-development or they're going to have to be changed out. And a lot of people struggle with changing out good people because these people are not necessarily bad people and they don't want to do a bad job. But they end up doing a bad job, not because they're doing the bad job, but because the job has changed and they can no longer do the new job that they're required to do. And the reality is if we keep people in this position where they're doing the job that they are not geared up to be doing anymore, they're miserable. And what we're doing is we're keeping people miserable. And that's not fair on them when they can go to another organisation, be super happy and be really successful. So I think that's something to bear in mind, that the only way that you sort of manage this frustration is either bringing them up with you or swapping them out for people that can cope. They're saying that if you're not comfortable with doing, you're going to have to be comfortable with. And ultimately where you want to be getting is where you grow as a person, but not only are you hiring people, you're now hiring people that are above you, that are much better than you, that have already been to a degree on the journey that you are going on and are going to help you build the business. Because that's the way that you'll get to grow your business as quickly as possible, the most efficient, with the right people. So hopefully there's a couple of things that you can take away, look at your business and change. Now, if anything I've spoken about today totally resonates with you, either head over to Borka.com and get in touch, or if you've got any comments, any questions that you would like answered, put them in the comment section below. If you know anyone that would benefit from watching this video or listening to this podcast today, please share it with other people. Share the love, let them experience it. And thank you for tuning in. And remember, failing to learn is learning to fail, so please stay safe.